With Nike, the story is a little bit different. It was not purpose-driven innovation, not product or application-driven innovation. It was just kind of this DNA innovation for fun. Let's do how a magnetic buckle looks in this kind of style and this kind of size. And they wanted something, some ingredient, which can give you some more attention in the shoe market, a product which can add braveness and uniqueness to their shoe. And so they choose this buckle simply, I think, for design purpose.
Welcome to HeroInside the Ingredient Branding Podcast with Tomas Vučurović. In each episode, Tomas will draw from his vast experience as the go-to global ingredient branding expert and will discuss this subject with visionaries and pioneers in the field. How do you go from the zero position as a supplier of a new ingredient to the hero position in demand around the world? Let's find out.
Welcome to episode 12 of the HeroInside Ingredient Branding Podcast. My name is Tomas Vučurović, and my guest today brings another incredible founder story that blends artistic talent with entrepreneurial innovation. Joachim Fiedler was a professional cello player for the Deutsche Oper in Berlin and has performed with the likes of Simon Rattle and Zubin Mehta and the Berliner Philharmoniker. Being frustrated with the available options for transporting his cello by bicycle to rehearsals and concerts, Joachim embarked on a journey that led to the creation of the FIDLOCK magnetic fastening systems. This episode will delve into how a personal need evolved into a groundbreaking business that revolutionizes closure systems across various industries. Let's dive in. Joachim, welcome to the show. We kicked it off with an inspiring pre-conversations 2 weeks ago, because I have to admit, you are my first guest in the podcast who I haven't met before, and we also haven't worked together. So thank you also to Olaf Hartmann from the Markenkraft podcast for establishing the connection. And obviously, we have to start by hearing from you the story about the magnetic bow holder and how you went from there to founding FIDLOCK.
Thank you, Thomas, for having me here. So yes, it looks like a long way, but how is the way from a cellist and from a bow clamp to the leading magnetic fastener company in the world? So it always started with a personal need. So my first product I designed was my cello case backpack. And there I started an experience with the first patent, with the first company, with the first supplier. And starting very slowly doing my musician's career and my little business idea in parallel. In 2002, I had, by the way, 180 travel days per year. So then sooner or later, I realized I need to change something. And so I decided to focus on the non-music part of my life. And the non-music part of my life was really starting to be getting very, very strong when I had this bow clamp. Now our listeners can't hear it. I want to put this one click into the air. Can you hear? So this click from the bow clamp, it was a magnetic bow clamp in my cello case, which I invented to be able to put the bow comfortably in the case when I come from the stage with just one hand and to take it out. And I realized there's so many applications where you just need one hand to open something and put it back again. So bow clamp started everything, and everybody started playing with it and telling me, you can do a million things with it. And then one guy was serious. It was Jan Lushinsky from Tatonka. Tatonka is a small family-driven outdoor brand in Germany. And he said, Joachim, this is wonderful. We want to go into school bag market. Can you do from this idea a school bag buckle for us? This was the rocket. This was the starting point of FIDLOCK.
Great. We're coming to the school bag case in a moment. Before that, just one question. Are you still making music as a hobby or even as a professional musician after all this time?
Both. So tonight, actually, I have my string quartet, my amateur string quartet. I'm looking for this for some weeks already. And from time to time, I'm also booked as a cellist and get paid for it.
Great. Well, Joachim, most people know you from cycling and helmets, including me. But you were mentioning your first breakthrough was really with these school backpacks in Germany. So how did that story develop after the first experiments with Tatonka?
Yeah, Tatonka was the first one on the market. And then we knocked doors, but nobody opened. And then the second one came and telling us, oh, we have a problem, because they had also a turn lock. So our first buckle was turned to open. And they had a problem with their existing one. And we could very easily solve this problem. And here we have several DNAs in the company, but one is the inventor DNA. We just do things nobody else did, and we don't care if you can use it or not. And the second one is we customize something. So we customize our idea. And the third one is quite often we solve a problem for a customer.
Well, many ingredient brands are challenged with that the clients want customized solutions, and not many of them can make it. So I'm sure that your clients love that possibility for individualization. But on the other hand, by doing that, how do you maintain your own design DNA and brand identity so that people immediately recognize that as a FIDLOCK solution?
I'm coming to your question in a minute. So just today, I asked a new colleague of us, Jason, he's in the sales team. I asked him, okay, what was your first experience with FIDLOCK product? And he said, he didn't know yet. And after 2 minutes, I recognized that this school bag buckle from his kid was a step-by-step school bag with a FIDLOCK buckle. And he said, oh, wow, I liked this buckle the first day. And this was very authentic. So yes, we have on the school bag, because of the very, very high individualization, every customer in this market, we give a different product. So nobody assume that all this is coming from FIDLOCK. And yes, that's a kind of a problem. We created a design DNA we call shifted edge, where we create by shifting a portion, by creating a shifted surface, or a portion of the surface you see is shifted. So not in the middle. We are modest on the side, and we reserve this space for FIDLOCK only. And the middle space, it's still free for advertisement. So we sell to the customer. And this is kind of a double strategy, which works and which helped us that not everybody, not like Gora, but most of the customer now advertise it's not a magnetic buckle, which we have on a helmet or on a school bag. We have a FIDLOCK buckle.
Yeah, it's a very important success factor for ingredient branding, that you are owning some kind of a property and that it's allocated or associated with your brand. But this industrial customer line then continued also into the bike sector. I think laser was your first customer 15 years ago. And then you were telling me about a window exposure in a Nike flagship store with the Air Force One collaboration. So how did this ingredient brand story then from Tatonka and then moving into the bike developed until today?
The helmet was relatively easy. So it was in the very early days when we had a very big closure for the school bags, and everybody asked, can you do it smaller? So, and when it had a certain size, then Laser knocked the door first and said, oh, wow, can you do a helmet buckle for us? And then we established this market of helmets, magnetic closures. And now we have a full catalog of magnetic closures only for helmets. Now with Nike, the story is a little bit different, because we developed in parallel a wide portfolio of buckles you can use for anything. So again, it was not purpose-driven innovation, not product or application-driven innovation. It was just kind of this DNA innovation for fun. Let's do how a magnetic buckle looks in this kind of style and this kind of size. And yes, could be used for bags, etc. But we didn't have a bag customer or a shoe customer there. And so then it happened that Nike took one of our low sellers, a buckle which we already considered to spec out of the catalog because it has a very, very kind of stealth bomber design, so very sharp edges, very hard surfaces. And so it was a bit too loud for normal bag customers, but Nike took it exactly for that. They wanted something, some ingredient, which can give you some more attention in the shoe market. Choose something not ridiculous, but something very brave, a product which can add braveness and uniqueness to their shoe. And so they choose this buckle simply, I think, for design purpose.
But that exposure then also in their marketing and brand communication, did that kind of accelerate the awareness of FIDLOCK?
Of course, it was a very nice booster for FIDLOCK in the shoe market. So now the shoe market is a stable segment of our customers, but it accelerated also the awareness of counterfeit manufacturers. And so imagine if you are in Hong Kong and the Nike brand store shows a buckle on just a part of a shoe on an advertisement, and the FIDLOCK buckle being there almost 1 square meter size. So Nike advertised it very loudly that this is an innovative or interesting part of the shoe. And so many counterfeit manufacturers recognized that too.
What impressed me about you in this context also when we had our pre-conversation is your rigid patent strategy, maybe also driven by such experiences like you were just mentioning, and your willingness to defend it even in markets such as China. So how important is that approach to protecting intellectual property for your business?
It is quite important because we are making relatively simple machines. So it is always a little bit of a machine. So it has a lot of engineered parts, our buckles, but once it's ready, you can put it under a scanner. Nowadays, scanners are very good. We are using one for quality control, and it scans the product within 100th part of a millimeter, and then you order a mold and you have a buckle. Yeah. So unfortunately, we are very easy to copy by nature of our product, and we are a mass item. So we answer to that by about 50 lawsuits in the last 5 years. 10 of the lawsuits most of them are in China. 10 of them are now at the Supreme Court. And we also are very thankful for some backing from the German embassy, which of course don't take an active role, but they give us a favor of just observing our litigation. So this raises some attention to it. And so we noticed that the Chinese government, from our feeling, they really want to make objective decisions. So I cannot confirm that Chinese courts only decide for the favor of Chinese companies. So you have to establish your network and your own personnel. So now we have our legal department, the size of our legal department. I don't give you now precise numbers, they're confidential, but this is probably more than many big stock listed companies have.
Yeah, I mean, counterfeit fighting is a big issue for all brands, but I think also for ingredient brands. It reminds me of a training session I was doing in, I think, the mid-2000s in China when I was still working with Gore-Tex, and we were doing a training at the climbing school associated with the university in Beijing. And there was like 200-300 climbers in the room, and we were asking, how many of you own a Gore-Tex jacket? And everybody raised their hand. And then the next question, and who of you paid more than $50 for it? And then it was only a handful. And then we used that as an opportunity to educate about the importance of buying an original product and not getting lost maybe in a dangerous situation where you, in this case, thought you would have a product that would protect you from the environment. And I think in your case, it's the same, that there is the security that the buckle is doing the job as promised by you.
It's a good story. I will keep it. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, but also your story, I think, should be stimulating to other ingredient brands to do more in the area of IP protection.
But I would highlight one more thing about patents, because this is one side of patents, to use them as a shield. Of course, this is where they're designed for. The other thing is, what I learned now in 18 years of patenting is that if you try to cover everything by patent, you learn a lot in your development. So one story is that my second product was really generated on the paper when I wrote the patent. Because when you write a patent, you have to take it apart into all the features of this product. And if you have then 8 features on the hand, you can say, oh, now I can vary this one feature, or I can eliminate that feature, or I can add another feature. So my first buckle was a rotation buckle. And when I wrote the word rotation into the patent claim, I realized this is too specific. So I exchanged it for moving. And then I asked myself, okay, in which directions can I move? I can turn, I can shift, and I can pivot. And then I created the products. The turn buckle I had, but the shift buckle and the pivot buckle I didn't have. So I developed this just by changing the words, by playing with the words of the features in the patent claim. And this is something this is an experience I want to share with everybody. So train yourself by trying to claim exactly what you are doing, no matter if you want to apply a patent on it or not. But it's really helping in the development process, and will give you automatically 2 or 3 more product ideas.
Well, very true, Joachim, for innovation and technology, but also good advice for everybody who's working in sustainability to make sure that they only claim what they are able to deliver. And I think that is one of the big stories which we have to deal with in those times around greenwashing. Let's move on to another topic that's interesting for a lot of ingredient brands, and that is the fact that you also sell end products under the same brand name. And a lot of people we talk to want to start with that idea and say, yeah, we go direct to consumer and we want to be an ingredient brand at the same time. They often don't understand the context of why this happened, how this happened, and how that is managed inside the company to avoid conflicts. So how did you originally come about the idea to sell consumer products with the same name? And does that not bother your industrial or B2B clients?
Our twist connector for bicycle bottles was already there. And then at a certain time, we did a product, and the good thing is we got stepfathers within the company. So we had 2 very passionate colleagues, one from development, one from sales, who really adopted this product and say, wow, let's not do a catalog product for others out of that, not manufacture bicycle bottles with a unique cageless system for others. Let's sell ourselves. And to answer the second question, why didn't it collide? At that time, we didn't sold cageless bottle systems to others, so there was nobody to complain. So we didn't. It is, of course, totally different with school bags or with bags and helmets. So we would, at the moment, never start our own helmet line unless we have a groundbreaking innovation which changed the situation again.
I mean, I know these discussions also from my own time and also from other clients, that then the helmet producers are saying, oh, look, FIDLOCK now in the bike closure system, they make their own bottles. So maybe they will also make their own helmets, or maybe they will also make their own school bags. So the clients are always very sensitive when an ingredient brand is moving into finished products, because you have to do a very clear communication. I think that's really important in the different categories.
So I can't confirm it at the moment. So because they are so far away, the bicycle bottles and our bicycle bags and our phone system. So everybody from the industry, they just love our products and use it. And so it helps a lot, I think, to establish the brand FIDLOCK. So if you go out on the street and ask 100 people, do you know FIDLOCK? Then, of course, probably only half of it know FIDLOCK. But from this portion, probably 90% still know our brand from our consumer products line. And only a fraction of them know, oh, wow, this is a helmet buckle, or this is a school bag buckle, or the bag buckle, or whatever.
You also started to supply then the bicycle industry with your twist base as a standard. And I think you call it the FIDLOCK Ready concept. Was that initiated by you or by bike manufacturers? And who's actually paying for those twist bases?
So this was a very nice moment. The ZDG is the biggest wholesaler for bicycles and bicycle accessories, selling about 1/3 of German bicycle stores. And we had a big project with them for customized project for a connector for light to the bicycle frame. And when I saw how much they invested in this project, and they changed the geometry of the frame, they changed the geometry of the stem, they produced their own set of lights all around the FIDLOCK connector to be able to upgrade a mountain bike. Mainly, if you go to the shop, you want a naked mountain bike. You want to be sportive. You want a sportive bike. And then a few weeks later, you realize you need mudguards and you need a light. So this project solved this need. So I realized how much they invested into this project, and then asked them, wouldn't you put our twist connector to the bikes? And Alex, my counterpart at the time, said, yes, of course, put it on our backyard. I said, I will do, but you pay me a little bit more for the bottle. So this was our handshake. So it answered the question at that time. The connector for this first project was for free, but then the bottle was more expensive. So at the end, it balanced out. Nowadays, we have just a very reasonable price for the bicycle brands to purchase the connector. And then there's, of course, just the normal price for the bottle. And we have now about 2 million bikes riding through the country, not just Germany, which are equipped with FIDLOCK. So you can go into a shop and you can already try the FIDLOCK bottle in the shop. So it's very easy for the shop owners to get more business out of one customer.
Well, I own 2 of them, so it's going to be 1.9 something million left. Joachim, let's talk a little bit about line extension. Originally, you said, FIDLOCK stands for something with a magnet, but now you've also integrated a first non-magnetic innovation with FIDGuard. And I also saw some new concepts from you. So how do you think about expanding your core functionality and your promise from something with a magnet to a new value proposition?
We have this FIDGuard line, and this is innovation which is not popular yet in the bottle market. It's the antibacterial composition, not developed by FIDLOCK, but within Europe, and already very successful in other markets like medical. So to keep surfaces antiviral or antibacterial for decades. And when we found this innovation, we said, wow, this is such a good innovation, because for sustainability, you want to have a bottle which can really be your friend at least 10 years. To extend the lifetime of the bottle, we realized that we need some innovation in the composition of the bottle. And this is one of our investment into sustainability, that we believe that this concept can help to prevent the plastic bottle waste for a good portion. And so now the question was, why is it then FIDLOCKed? So first we give it a name. We say it's FIDGuard, and we think it's innovation, and FIDLOCK stands for innovation and not only for magnets. If you say in an elevator pitch, oh, I'm doing magnetic closures, nobody starts smiling. But if people touch our products, say, wow, this is something very cool. This level of innovation, which moves your mouth to smile, this is a kind of our in-house test. And the FIDGuard, the antibacterial material, was able to pass this test to say, wow, if a bottle does not release something harmful into the water and is still antibacterial, this is a wow, this is a cool, I want to have it.
So innovation in other areas is the key word. Also, for my last question related to FIDLOCK, school bags, helmets, bicycles. What's next for FIDLOCK? Are there any plans to venture into other industries, for example, automotive, which has this reputation for being really tough on suppliers and not allowing ingredient branding, even though we know quite a few of ingredient brands who were able to achieve that. Is that something you would go after?
So we are already in, so it's a big topic already since 15 years. So because the automotive engineers are always going to ISPO or to Eurobike or whatever to get inspiration. And we sampled and we pitched ever and ever again. But now finally, Hyundai car is out. So it's a combination, not only a combined success, not only for FIDLOCK in the car, but also for the FIDLOCK Ready concept. So the FIDLOCK Ready concept is that one part is already pre-installed somewhere, and the other FIDLOCK part in the accessory is built into the accessory, and you can buy as many accessories as you want. And FIDLOCK always keeps a compatibility promise that even if you buy the next bottle, or in the car, the table or the umbrella cover or whatever they offer, or the phone holder, you can attach it through the FIDLOCK connector and it will be always safe and fun. So we are successful with Hyundai already, and we are almost close before signing this with a German brand, but I can't disclose that at the moment. But the good thing is both of them asked from themselves, they want to have a FIDLOCK logo. And this in a car where you see only Brose or Sonos, I've seen recently as one of the very few ingredient brands in cars.
Yeah, it's special in the automotive industry. I think there is a little difference between products where you have to pay extra for, like audio systems, expensive audio systems. There's probably also the desire from the consumers to see that they have paid a few €1,000s extra for,
and to show others
and to show others that they did so. Good, wonderful story about FIDLOCK. Super interesting learnings for the ingredient brand community. Do you have from your side any challenge or any question about ingredient branding that you would like to put out and discuss?
Yeah, a lot. So our pre-talk inspired me a lot. So I know I can and should probably learn more from others, and which recipe worked and which recipe didn't work. So
we can make another episode. So lastly, we always need new guests and inspiration for that. Do you have somebody in mind that you think would have an interesting story for our community?
I have one, and I prepared for it, I must admit. So it is my friend Dietrich Brockhagen. We know each other from our hometown, and he was one of the participators for the German government negotiating the Kyoto Protocol. So he studied physics, and he was part of the German delegation, and he committed his whole life to carbon credit, carbon compensation projects. And I think in our modern future, we need the way how we credit carbon emissions will be more and more important because there are so many black sheeps in the market who promise you something and they don't keep their promise. And I think Atmosphere, the brand, the company Dietrich founded, could and is fulfilling the promise. He is the hardest and the one you cannot bribe.
Wow, that's a really good proposal. I'm looking very much forward to this. If you can make a connection, would be great. Thank you, Joachim. Wonderful to have you had here on the show and learn about FIDLOCK and cello playing and all the amazing things you're doing with your company.
Thank you, Thomas.
This wraps up today's conversation with Joachim Fiedler of FIDLOCK. A quite different approach to ingredient branding, driven by a strong inventor DNA, developing customized solution, and solving problems of customers in a very specific way. His commitment to defending his patents, his dedication to that customizing solutions, and his willingness to venture into new markets all demonstrate the spirit of a true innovator. To share your insights and questions for this episode, please head over to our Brand LinkedIn page and join the conversation. Subscribe to the HeroInside podcast to be sure not to miss the next episodes. Until then, keep exploring, learning, and being a hero in your journey towards a better world.
This has been an episode of HeroInside the Ingredient Branding Podcast with Tomas Vučurović. Each episode features stories and wisdom from game-changing creators and the shapers of the world's most exciting and influential ingredient brands. To learn more about ingredient branding and Tomas's work, visit braind.co. That's BRAIND.co. Until next time.